from WNYT, Albany, in HD. News Channel 13, today, begins right now.
Money for education, fire departments, and a tax rebate all await the New York State Assembly now. State Assembly members are coming to Albany to pass the budget bill before Monday's deadline.
Voters in Massachusetts this morning know a little bit more about the candidates who want to fill the seat vacated by John Kerry.
And after 2 days of arguments on same-sex marriage in the U.S. Supreme Court, coming up in a live report, we will talk about some takeaways from the hearings. Good morning, I'm Phil Bailey.
Good morning, I'm Sabrina Dami. Today's Thursday, March 28th. Now for a check on weather on the ones, here's Paul Cayano. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Sabrina. Good morning again, Phil. We're looking at a relatively quiet start to the day here across the capital region. Good looking shot right at sunrise here on the National Grid First Warning Camp. Saratoga Springs shows some clouds out there, but some bright spots as well. And the temperature sliding back into the mid-30s. No wind at the moment out there, but for the most part, we're going to see a bit of a breeze again out of the northwest. Now, the radar does show some flurries and some sprinkles in spots, especially across parts of the Saratoga County area on off into Rensselaer County. It looks like out toward Grafton there's a few snow showers and parts of Berkshire County. This is a part of a trough of low pressure which has kept us on the cooler side over the last several days, and even the last couple of weeks has been cooler than average. So prepare the kids for a little bit of cool air this morning out at the bus stop and mostly cloudy skies. Eventually, though, I think we'll be in the middle to upper 40s with mostly cloudy skies this afternoon. This chill will break, especially in time for the weekend when temperatures will push back up into the 50s. We'll detail what we'll get for Easter Sunday as well, all coming up in about 8 minutes. Sabrina and Phil.
All right, Paul, thanks very much. There's nearly $1 billion more for education. There's a $350 rebate for middle-class families with children. And there's an extended income tax on millionaires.
That's some of what's in the proposed $135 billion New York State budget passed by the state Senate at 4:30 yesterday morning. Well, today it's the Assembly's turn. The Assembly is returning to Albany this morning to pass their budget bills. Then the budget can go to Governor Cuomo for his signature before Monday's April 1st deadline. The Assembly says they may be able to pass the entire thing today or tonight, but it may trail into tomorrow. The Assembly is scheduled to open session at the Capitol at 10:30 this morning.
A New York State Assemblyman who voted against medicinal marijuana and then was pulled over on the thruway allegedly possessing a private stash of pot is scheduled to be in court this evening. Assemblyman Steve Katz was stopped by state police on the thruway near Queens last Thursday. A state trooper says he found Katz in possession of a small bag of marijuana. Katz is on the Assembly Drug and Alcohol Abuse Committee. He's a Republican from Mohegan Lake. The trooper says he detected the odor of marijuana in Katz's car last Thursday, but Katz is not charged with driving under the influence. He's charged with possession. He was initially pulled over for allegedly going 80 miles an hour. The posted speed limit there is 65. The Assemblyman was issued an appearance ticket.
Baby boomers are getting older, even those behind bars, and that presents problems as New York State's prison population ages. The number of elderly inmates has quadrupled between 1995 and 2010, and nearly 1/3 of the country's prison convicts will be classified as elderly by the year 2030. Today at Albany Law School, leading voices on law and policy decisions will discuss the aging prison population and the unique needs that burdens that presents. Gildan police this morning are looking for 3 men who they say stole a donation jar with about $300 in it. Look at this surveillance video. It was taken last Friday afternoon inside Hanush Jewelers in Crossgates Mall. You can see one of the suspects grabbing the jar while 2 other men appear to be acting as lookouts. The money was supposed to be donated to the Children's Hospital at Albany Medical Center.
There are 5 candidates running to be Massachusetts' next U.S. Senator, 3 Republicans, 2 Democrats. They held 2 separate debates last night. News Channel 13's Dan Levy reports.
My report,
Since he began serving in Congress 37 years ago, Ed Markey has continually racked up lopsided election victories, 8 times running unopposed. Now he says he wants to become a more effective lawmaker.
I'm running for the United States Senate because the Tea Party Republicans in the House are paralyzing our government.
Markey has a double-digit primary lead over fellow Democratic Congressman Steve Lynch, who boasts a strong streak of independence.
I don't work for Nancy Pelosi, and I won't work for Harry Reid. I've taken positions that have been outside the direction of my party, try to cross the aisle when I can.
One of those times Lynch crossed the aisle was when he voted against Obamacare, which he felt gave insurance companies everything they wanted.
It was like a hostage situation where we not only paid the ransom, but we let the insurance companies keep the hostages.
Markey insists that siding with the president on the Affordable Health Care Act was the proudest vote of his career.
Steve, when that vote came up, you were wrong when you were needed most.
By contrast, all three Republicans vying for the U.S. Senate say they'd like to see Obamacare repealed.
The thing we don't like about health care in our country is the cost. The one problem we didn't like, Obamacare didn't fix.
I don't think he went about it the right way at the federal level. I think this should have been at the state level, just like we did here in Massachusetts when Governor Romney was governor.
What I do understand is that we're not going to change Washington by sending the same entrenched Democratic congressman down to Washington, only in the Senate this time, and expecting a different outcome.
On the GOP side, former U.S. Attorney Michael Sullivan leads both his opponents by at least 18 points. The problem, though, is that 1 month before an election, 35% of the voters say they've never heard of him. A similar lack of familiarity for former Navy SEAL Gabriel Gomez and current state representative Dan Winslow. Dan Levy, News Channel 13 Today.
To Washington now, where it's a bit quieter this morning. Crowds packed the space outside the Supreme Court for 2 days as justices heard arguments on 2 different same-sex marriage cases. Danielle Lee was there taking it all in. She joins us now live from Washington. Good morning, Danielle.
Good morning. Those Supreme Court justices definitely have a lot to consider after 2 days of back-to-back hearings on the issue of gay marriage. On both days, justices recognize that they're being asked to do something they have never done before. Now, on that first case, the Proposition 8 ban on gay marriage in California, they seemed a lot more hesitant to issue any kind of a broad ruling, reason being because a broad ruling there could clear the way for legalizing same-sex marriage around the country. But in the second day of hearings, when we heard defense and consideration arguments regarding the Defense of Marriage Act, also known as DOMA, which prevents the federal government from giving benefits to married same-sex couples, there seemed to be a majority of justices leaning toward overturning that law. And Justice Anthony Kennedy's comments there were key because he's seen as the swing vote here. He questioned its constitutionality, whether or not it infringes on states' rights to define who can and cannot marry and define what marriage is. But conservative justices were very concerned there. They were hesitant, and they were also upset with the Justice Department and President Obama for refusing to defend the law that Congress passed. That fact could lead to that case getting thrown out on a technicality. We're expecting to find out their decision come June. Reporting live in Washington, I'm Danielle Lee. Back to you.
Danielle Lee, as you say, this morning we're kind of dissecting things, getting a feel based on what the justices said. But yesterday's arguments, of course, mean more to New Yorkers. What are the chances that we could actually see some change in DOMA?
It's likely that we would see some kind of a change in DOMA, reason being that it appeared that the majority of the justices were leaning toward overturning that law. But where we stand right now with justices so divided and it's so clear that this is going to be a very close decision, it's hard to say if they'll ultimately take that route.
All right, Danielle Lee reporting live from Washington. Thank you.